Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully everybody had a good July the 4th, which actually your video for after July the 4th would have been the trailer. And now this video should be your Wednesday video, I believe. So we're back on the Tahoe. It's Tuesday morning. I'm flat out exhausted from the weekend. So that trailer worked my butt off on that thing, man. So got it back to the shop, got it put back up. Now it's trying to get back on this Tahoe. I can tell you what, I am sick of these big projects. It seems like I have not had a break on anything little in a while. So it was the Fox body that was freaking huge for a month. Trailer, which has been a monster on the weekends, ate up my whole weekend, every free minute I have. And now this Tahoe is just eating up my time like crazy, of course, and not making any money, just spending money. But it'll get you ahead in life in the long run, because the more valuable stuff you own, then obviously the more your net worth goes up. And if you get yourself in trouble, then of course the more stuff you have to sell off. So I look at my vehicles and my materialistic stuff as savings account, kind of, because I can sell anything off like that and have a pocket full of cash. So they're just as important to do as everything else. Got everything through primer. We're gonna get in here this morning, block everything out, and Eddie's gonna put me one in the booth to paint. He's gonna tape it up to paint today, and then we're hoping we can get the Tahoe in next and get the shell painted so we can start reassembly on the inside stuff as we're moving forward with doors. And fenders come in this week, past week, they're in the front office. I got to get the wife to order the hood and the headlights, and then go down our checklist of really small stuff that we're missing. So let's get at it. All right, so let's talk about this Hardline right here. So anytime you do primer, you really want to feather edge out your primer, such as where we did it up here. We kind of feather edged it out, and we didn't really hardline it. Let me see if I have any. I don't think I have anything that's feather edged out on this side to show you as an example. No, everything's hardline. So hardlines are definitely something you need to pay attention to. They're a bigger problem than most people actually think. If you don't completely get your hardline out, then after the vehicle's painted, you'll actually see that hard line. So there's a couple things I do. Number one, let me tell you that in a professional setting, you should never, ever, ever hardline primer. Let me just go ahead and get that out there. Let me just go ahead and put that on the table. I've talked to numerous painters that do it every day for a living, and they'll tell you that that hardline will bite you in the butt. Eventually, you shouldn't do it. I hardline all the time. The times that hard lines have bit me in the butt is on a silver, okay? So it's almost like, even if I move my line, which I'm about to show you, sometimes you can still see where we did body work. And it's the metallics on a silver. Silver is gonna be your hardest color to paint. You really got to finish silver out past like 320. So normally we finish everything out with 320. This morning I'm finishing all this out with 320 grit. So normally, like your silvers, you probably want to do like a 400 or a 600. Some people even recommend higher than that. I won't waste my time on anything ever higher than 600. And I would still finish it out in 320 dry, meaning dry sandpaper on the DA. And then when it goes outside to wash, I would probably try to wet sand some of it out with like a 400 or 600. I don't like doing silvers for customers because of that job. Flip cars we don't care about. So if you go all the way to the edge of the panel, such as right here, you're fine. You're not going to see that line. All of this up here was was dusted out. Let me flip the camera around and show you. So we had all of this masked off up here around the edge of the door. Hard line down there, a piece of tape went across, you know, back taped the inside of the door, and didn't do nothing with the jam. So what I did was I primed up to here, okay, and then moved across and then primed up to here. You can even see it if you watch the primer video. I never put the paint gun across here. So dust and overspray went all over here, but there wasn't a lot of primer at all. It was just overspray and dust. So what I did this morning was I just knocked my overspray off. So all of this is feather edged out. There was never a hard line here at all. I should have probably just went ahead and primed it all, but I didn't. I have no clue why I didn't, honestly. But anywhere I can save myself from having to sand a bunch of orange peel out, I will, because your primer is going to have orange peel in it, obviously. Now, on your hard line, okay, we have a body line here, and we have a body line here, and we have a body line down here, I have a hard line right in the center of the body line, or in the center of the panel between the body lines. I purposely put that hard line in the center so that it was easy to move. Now on things like over here on this side, I hardlined it right on the edge of the body line. So if you come right here, you can actually see where my primer stops right here on the body line. So you're not gonna see that line after paint. And then over here, what we did was we actually put our hard line in the body line, okay? So we didn't tape up here or nothing like that. We actually pretty much taped close to the body line. And then we took our sandpaper, and when we were sanding this, we actually ran our sandpaper like this, okay? So it kind of hit inside the body line. So you won't see no hard line there. Now all of this was hard line, but it was moved. So the hard line was moved. That down there was slightly hard lined. So I'm gonna show you real fast on the DA what I mean by moving the hard line. We're gonna just do a piece right here in the center. You can physically fill this line. As long as you always move your hard line, 9 out of 10 times you're gonna be okay. But you got to make sure you move it. You cannot just feather edge it. So I am going to show an example of feather edging the hard line and leaving it, and then I'm gonna show you actually moving the hard line. Now this over here actually looks like it is slightly feather edged, right? I didn't put a ton of primer down there because you can see the white through it. But there's still a hard line. So let me show you this real fast. All right, so what we got right here is all of this is sanded and it's smooth. If you were here to run your hands across it, you can see I knocked it down real fast, it's smooth. But the problem is you can still see that line. Now you can't fill that line, okay? There is nothing there at all to fill. What it is that the primer, when we prepped this panel beforehand, okay, we scratched this up with sandpaper. So we put tiny microscopic scratches all in it. The primer fills in the microscopic scratches. So that was 180 grit scratches. So now we're sanding with 320. So I have smoothed all of this with 320, but right here past this line, the primer is sitting inside of them 180 grit scratches and everything else, all the imperfections in it, you know, under a microscope. The primer's filled it in, whereas over here there is no primer. So that line is still there. So after you paint this, especially with silver, this would literally still show. Like you would see this line, even though I promise that you cannot fill this right now. You can't fill it at all. It's smooth. Now over here, I've actually moved my line. So if you look, you can see a little tiny remains of it, but no, actually that was dust. So I've actually moved my line. You don't see it no more at all. So I have gotten rid of all the primer in the area that the hard line was, and I completely sanded the primer off until there. So we have took our white paint right here, okay, we have took this white paint down, and then when we moved our sander up here, we took all of our primer off until we were into the white paint, and then we kept cutting into the white paint until we got rid of, you know, the primer like this, okay, the last little bit. So we completely 100% got rid of the primer from about here, you know, all the way wherever. Meaning there's absolutely no primer left right here where my thumb's at. Nothing, because it's completely gone. We moved our primer up here, so now all of this is feather edged out. Meaning, you know, it's tapered out if you can look at it underneath the microscope. Like a fade, you know, as if you know, like haircut, I guess. You know how people get fades, your hair fades. Same thing, it fades into that. That is, you know, the raw line from the tape, so you can actually slightly see, you know, the crispiness from the edge right there. So as long as you move your hard line 100%, then 9 out of 10 times you're not going to have an issue. Now Eddie is actually new to all of this, and I'm still working with him on teaching him a lot of this stuff, and sometimes he'll be bad about prepping a flip car and leaving it like this. It's a flip car at the end of the day, it don't matter, but I still try to. It's hard to continuously switch your brain from a high-end customer job if we're doing, let's say we're doing a Fox body, okay? You absolutely cannot leave no hard lines. You shouldn't even really even put no hard lines in a customer job that's paying on that level. Randy's Fox body, you know, one paying that level, you really shouldn't hardline it at all. You should just go ahead and do the whole panel so you don't even have to ever worry about any shrink back. And we kind of talked about that in them videos, you know, where that line could bite you in the butt. But flip cars, they're in and out, but I still try to tell them, take one more second and sand it like this, okay? 100% move that line. This will definitely destroy you on silver, and sometimes this right here will still bite you in the butt on silver, because for some reason, sometimes on some silvers, you can still see where that line used to be, even though it's clearly not there no more at all, because you can see this is a white panel, gray primer. You can see that it's clearly 100% gone, but for some reason, microscopically, I guess, you know, just tiny particles left where you can still see the difference in where that line was, where you added material to the panel. So if you're trying to do this yourself, you need to make sure you at least always move them hard lines. Don't leave them. Never ever do this. Never do this. You should never see it. And if you see somebody driving down the road that put a hard line in their primer, there's a decent chance that they don't know what they're doing. Unless you're dealing with somebody like me, or somebody probably like, you know, a handful of y'all on the channel that paint, that you know that you're going to move that line later on. But often, if somebody puts a hard line in it, they don't know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here to tell y'all how to do it so that you don't make mistakes. I'm going to keep on sanding. I just wanted to share that with y'all this morning, and I'm going to keep making some grounds. All right, so we got this thing back in the booth. We're about to tape it up. I did not film, obviously, finish sanding it out. I didn't film washing it. I mean, that stuff just gets boring. I mean, when you're doing paint and body work, you're doing the sanding and the washing on every single job. It's going to be the exact same every single time. So we finished sanded everything out with 320 grit, and then when I washed it, I scuffed everything down with a Scotch-Brite pad, a burgundy Scotch-Brite pad, and then any little touch-ups I needed to do while I was washing and scuffing down, I did with 400 grit wet. So a lot of the edges and stuff like that were got with 400 grit when it's wet. So we're going to spray the areas inside the jam where we need to. I'm going to make a couple hard lines. Inside the jam, I don't care, it's my vehicle. Customer job, you would absolutely never ever make a hard line in the paint. So basically what that means is that the new paint is just gonna stop somewhere, and there's gonna be a line that you can pick with your fingernail, but it's gonna be inside the door jam, so it's not gonna be outside. So places like on this door hinge right here, we'll probably hard line underneath it, because I wanna catch the hinge, and then obviously I have to paint this area right here. So we'll go ahead and we'll just hard line down in here. So my vehicle, we're gonna do it, we don't care. The roof up here on top, we're gonna hard line. So if we come up here, our primer is to right here. We're gonna go somewhere into here with our tape. So we're gonna pretty much stop our tape right off the back of the sunroof and make a hard line all the way across the roof. You could do 3000 grit and do a melt like we're gonna do on the back bumper, but being that this is on the roof and you'll never see it, it'll never probably get washed, I'm just putting a hard line across it because I don't care. Flat out, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna I could easily just tell y'all I melted it and never show it on camera. I'm telling you I'm putting a hard line because I don't care. I'm lazy when it comes to my own vehicles, and I flat out don't care. Besides that, we're just gonna get this thing taped up and shot. We're not painting the back door, and we're only painting this side of the bumper. So we're only doing this side of the bumper. Right here, what we'll do is we will do a melt on here. So I've already prepped this out right, I'm backwards. Right here with 3000 grit, I've already prepped that out, so I'm gonna do a melt in there. So that way I don't have to tape the whole back bumper, and I don't have to worry about the parking sensors, the step pad. I don't have to take it off, I don't have to break it down. I can do the lazy way and just do a melt. Normally I would never ever do that. Even on flip cars, we do not melt stuff. Normally we do the whole entire panel, but y'all all have followed how monster of a job this is. I'm exhausted, I'm wore out, I'm tired, y'all. I have been going non-stop. It was the Fox body first, and now it's been the Tahoe. I'm in my second week on the Tahoe, and I have not worked for my company in a month and a half. So by the time I get done with this, it'll be 2 months that I have not worked for my actual company making money. So this show, I got to get the show on the road. So I need to be crunching flip cars out like Ed, and not just Ed doing everything. So that's the reason why I'm taking shortcuts on this, and I'll show y'all and not hide nothing, and I just flat out don't care. So let me get this thing taped up, and then we're gonna get it shot.